everyone, welcome to my full family keto kitchen. Today we are making keto bread in our KitchenAid mixer, and this bread is going to blow you away. I have literally been experimenting with bread recipes for months now, coming up with them on the internet, finding ones that supposedly have great reviews, and they all tasted horrible. They didn't come out like bread, they weren't bread-like at all, and so I have finally perfected an actual keto bread recipe that I'm going to share with you today. The first step in making the keto bread is we need to proof our yeast for just a few minutes here. So the first thing we want to start with is 1 cup of hot water. And I like to use the kitchen thermometer here, really inexpensive little kitchen tool, because you want to make sure that your water is somewhere between 105 and 110 degrees. If the water's too hot, it's going to kill your yeast. So it needs to be warm to the touch, or if you have a kitchen thermometer, that's the best. Make sure you keep it between 105 and 110. So we're going to add a cup of water to our bowl. Next, we want to add 1 teaspoon of honey. I like to get local raw honey. So you want raw honey. You're going to add 1 teaspoon to the water and mix it in. Now, don't worry about honey if you're on keto, because when the honey is mixed with the yeast is going to feed on that honey, and you're not going to have anything left from that honey in your actual recipe. So mix the honey into your hot water to dissolve it. Then we're going to add our yeast. We're going to add a tablespoon of quick rise yeast. So we're going to add that in. And again, I like to mix that in with my whisk. And then we're going to cover it with a towel for just about 5 to 10 minutes while we go get our other ingredients together to start adding everything into our mixing bowl. Okay, so let's check on our yeast, and it should be proofed. You can see it's got that nice foamy texture to the top. And we're just going to add this to our mixer, and then we can start adding all of our other ingredients. So we're just going to add that to our mixer. And again, I like to proof it first because I'm finding that this is going to give the bread better rise than just throwing everything in the mixer and kneading it up and popping it in the loaf pan. So if you do this extra few minutes while you're making your bread is going to come out with a much more beautiful rise than if you just mixed it all up at one time. Now, the next thing we want to add is 4 tablespoons of powdered monk fruit sweetener. I like to use So Nourished, so this is monk fruit erythritol blend. 4 tablespoons of that, just add that in. The next thing we want to add is 2 eggs that you're slightly beaten. Put those into the mixer there. Then we want to add 1/2 cup of oat fiber. I like to use all organic. Anthony's is a great brand for this. You can find a lot of this at your local stores, though. There's not very much I can't find locally at this point. I do tend to order more in bulk on Amazon and places like that, but you can find every single one of these products I'm using at local stores now, which is awesome because so many more stores are getting on board with the fact that this is the kind of items that people want to buy. So it's great for us in the keto world that so many stores are finally catching on to this. So the next thing we want to add after we add our oat fiber is golden flax meal. And make sure it's golden, not regular. Golden just gives it that nice bread texture and flavor and color. So the next thing we're going to add is 1 1/4 cup of vital wheat gluten. Now, vital wheat gluten is what gives keto breads its structure. Hearing the word wheat, you might think this item is not keto. Because one of the main reasons we avoid wheat bread on keto is because of the grains. What people don't know is that the protein in wheat is entirely keto friendly. So Vital Wheat Gluten gets rid of everything but the proteins. This is just basically the proteins from the wheat after it's been processed. Everything else has been removed from it. So it's super keto friendly, it's very low carb, and what Vital Wheat Gluten will do is it gives those keto flours the body they need to make the dough that is as close to the real thing as you can get. Keto diets themselves do not need to be gluten-free, so that's why I am using this. Now, if you have celiac or gluten intolerance, this recipe is not for you, and you should definitely check out my channel and my website for the gluten-free version of keto bread. That one would be for you. So we're gonna go ahead and add this 1 1/4 cup of Vital Wheat Gluten into our mixer. Now, the next thing we want to add is a 1/2 teaspoon of xanthan gum. And then we want to add 1 teaspoon of salt. I love using Redmond's sea salt for all of my recipes, all of my bakery items. It just has the best properties and the best flavor out there. So I always use Redmond's sea salt in all of my recipes. And then the last thing we want to add is 2 tablespoons of grass-fed butter. And as you all know, I am a Kerrygold butter lover. We're going to go ahead and turn our mixer on, and we're going to let this knead for 7 minutes. Okay, so our mixer has been going for about 7 minutes. We're going to go ahead and shut this off. And as you can see, we've got a nice pile of dough in there. Now, what we want to do is we want to get the dough out. It's going to be a little sticky, but that's what you want. Now, when I'm rolling my dough out of my bowl, I try to roll it in a nice little oblong shape because this is the shape that we want to put it in our pan. I do like to spray the pan down with a little bit of cooking spray. I always prefer to use coconut oil spray. That's just my preference, but any spray will do. We're going to put this in the pan in an oblong shape, like that. And then we want to spray a piece of saran wrap to lay over top of our pan because we need to put this aside to rise now. And what I like to do when I'm having my bread rise is have it have some quiet time. You want it in a nice quiet area with not a lot of drafts where it's not gonna get disturbed. So what I like to do is I like to put it in the microwave and just shut the door, not turn the microwave on, but we're gonna put it in the microwave and we're gonna let it rise. Another trick that I learned is also you wanna put a 4-cup container of boiling water in the microwave with your bread while it's rising. So boil it on the stove and put it in here with your bread. Shut the door and leave it rise for about 1.5 hours. The longer you let it rise, the bigger that bread's gonna get. Now, the first time I made this recipe, I had it in there without the water for 1 hour like it had suggested, and it didn't rise. So I didn't throw it away. I moved it off to the side in another dark cabinet, and 2.5 hours later, as you can see, it is rising by itself. So don't throw it away. If you don't see it rising right away, just put it back in there and give it more time. Put the hot water in there with it. Let it really get rising real nice before it goes into the oven. Okay, so our bread has been rising for a little over 1.5 hours now. So let's pull it out and see where we're at with the rise. We have our water, hot water in here. And look at this. Look at the beautiful rise that bread has. Obviously, you could leave it in there to rise a little more if you want, but remember, it's gonna rise a little more also while it's baking. So now we're gonna stick this, oh, it smells like bread too. We're gonna stick this in the oven at 375 degrees for about 20 to 25 minutes. Okay, so our bread should be done baking. Let's take it out of the oven and see what it looks like. Look at this stunning loaf of keto bread. So once the bread has cooled and we take it out of our pan, check out the size of this loaf. Isn't that awesome? Bet you thought you'd never have bread again being keto. So let's cut into it so you can see what that looks like as well. And again, you want to make sure that it's nice and cooled off before you go cutting into it. You don't want to mess with your bread. Oh, look at that. Look at it. Isn't that fantastic? Just like regular bread. So I hope that you really love this bread as much as I do. This is such an amazing recipe. It tastes just like real bread, and you are going to love this. I would love some feedback. If you made this bread, let me know how it turned out. Let me know what questions you have, and I will see you in my next video.